What's going on, beautiful people? It's your friend Earl, DJ Be Easy, and we got another episode of the Mix Up Podcast. And here is Duane from ParaDym Academy. Duane, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm enjoying life as much as I can.
Dude, that's all we can do right now. During the last part of 2020, all we could do is just, be safe and enjoy what we have and appreciate what we have. And that's the key to life. Just appreciate it. So when you appreciate this little bit, you'll have more. You'll understand how to operate and handle more.
Yeah, what do they say? Steel sharpens steel, and
yes,
pressure builds diamonds, right?
Facts.
Yeah, things are tougher than they were in 2018, but let's I got my mind's eye on 2021 and 2022 as the golden era revisited. So I'm good.
Because we're gonna do great things in 2021, and honestly going forward, because we learned a lot this year. And before we even go on this year, tell the people about the history of ParaDym Academy.
All right, so ParaDym Academy is an offshoot of a project that I used to do when I worked for Cox Communications in Meriden.
Okay.
It was they sent us out to like schools and after school programs to teach kids how to do media production. It was like a mobile classroom setup, and then eventually the company stopped doing it, and I was like, that was like the best part of my job. Like I loved it so much. I was like, I'm just gonna do it on a volunteer basis. That takes money.
Yes.
So we tried to get money, and there was a lot of back and forth on how that was going to be set up. When you have a corporate sponsor, everybody's down. When you're like, hey, how can we keep this going? No one had an idea, so it sat for about 2 years, and then I moved to New Britain.
Yes.
And I just realized that I didn't really know what was going on. I wasn't volunteering. I wasn't really engaged with the community. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't working with youth. And so I started working with youth doing media production in April of 2020. Okay. I mean, excuse me, of 2000.
2000,
yeah. So
wow, 20 years ago.
20 years.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So so I took 2 years off, and then I came to New Britain about 12 years ago. Didn't really do anything, wasn't really engaged, and then figured, I needed to get back into it. So I went, I'm a CCSU grad.
Shout out to CCSU.
I went back and I saw some of my old mentors. Some of my professors really were more than professors. They, Cindy White, Karen Ritzenhoff,
the
Cindy
communication
retired.
department.
That's right.
Yes.
Communications department held me down.
Yes.
They still hold me down, by the way. So CCSU came on board as an educational partner. We ended up working alongside the Consolidated School District of New Britain. So we developed this model of university CBO school district.
Yes.
That we've been running with. So Paulette Fox from OIC gave me space to just run a program. I was like, I don't want any money. She was like, I don't have any. I said, great. I was like, I just want to test this out, see if it works.
Yes.
Had no funding, bootstrapped everything. Had 3 computers, and I don't know if you remember flip cams, but they were like little square cameras that looked like phones, but had no phones in them.
Yeah.
Horrible, like 2 megapixels.
That's old school, man.
That's old school.
Old school,
right? But when you're broke, you do what you got to do. Smartphones weren't really that smart, so we didn't have the option of using phones.
This sounds like when the BlackBerry was just like,
as a matter of fact, yeah,
a text message system.
Yes. So let's take this back. But this is back when the first iPad started coming out. Yeah. So it was a minute. I'm dating myself, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, I had 3 of these cheap cameras. I had 3 laptops, and I was showing kids how to do stuff. And then I ended up doing some work in Hartford at Capital Prep, pro bono. Ended up doing some stuff in Britain pro bono, and eventually CCSU was like, hey, we can give you we can pay for 5 hours a week.
That's
the next
smart.
year, you know, it was like, all right, well, you know, it could be 25 hours a week because they were getting grants through the American Savings Foundation.
Okay.
Then eventually I took over that program. At that point in time, ParaDym was called the Prime Narrative Project.
Really?
We felt like, you know, kids were in the prime of their lives and they had stories to tell.
Yes.
And I went to the Schomburg Center for an event in New York, which is basically like, you know, a Black history museum, you know, of art and all sorts of things, run by the New York Public Library. And it was sort of like a celebration of media literacy, youth media programs around the country. So people came in from California. Chuck D had Skyped in at the time.
Nice.
Al Sharpton was supposed to be there, but there was a bomb threat at MSNBC.
Are you serious?
So,
wow, that's insane, bro.
So he Skyped in.
Yeah.
We're talking about Skype now. We're talking about Zoom, right? And, you know, I met so many different people, you know, and I just really figured out, you know, a way to make it more of my own and less generic.
Yes.
So ParaDym stands for Paraprofessionals, so Para in Digital Youth Media, DYM.
Yes.
And the idea was to have, you know, like the focus really was to have, like, you know, students of color, tell their stories because they weren't representative in the media that they were consuming. So, you know, we don't see, and we still don't see, but we definitely didn't see, you know, decent representation for youth, especially who were Black and brown. You know, and this dates back, you know, before I was even born. But this was an attempt to sort of, you know, get students to feel empowered to tell their stories, because through that narrative, you know, the idea was that, you know, they could eventually like advocate for change and affect change, right? Positively.
Yes.
So we've been doing this now. So I met with Paulette 11 years ago in August. So October was 11 years that I started in New Britain. Yeah. And December 12th will be 10 years since we partnered with CCSU. So
the partnership is still there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We work with Jessica Hernandez in
and shout out to Jess, because I haven't seen her in years.
What you call it? You know, we you know, she'll know what this means if she watches this. We got our Uncle Tito involved.
Yes.
What you call it? You know, that's my people's. She holds me down. A lot of what we do isn't possible without people like Dr. Joe Page, Jessica Hernandez, Radhi Kumar, who's CCSU in the communications department. Karen Ritzenhoff is still one of, you know, our
shout out to Karen Ritzenhoff, because she used to be like the chair of, like, she was my advisor when I was doing communications at Central.
So because I had so many people decide on their own volition that they were going to mentor me, I decided that we would make this like a media mentorship program.
Yeah.
We focus now primarily on critical youth development, which is basically, you know, saying that, you know, if you're going to be media literate, you have to understand what you're seeing and how that's a reflection of who you are. So, you know, are you being properly represented in the music you listen to, in the games you play? You know, I went to a conference in New York and they were like, you know, the reason why there aren't any Black protagonists in video games, this is years ago, is because they said developers can't figure out how to code darker skin. I said, really? I was like, you can't figure that out? I was like, that's the biggest load of BS I've ever heard in my life. But the entire panel was white. They were all co-signing that. And I was like, well, here's the problem. I was like, y'all haven't figured it out because there's no Black developers up here.
Exactly.
Right?
If there's some Black developers, of course you're going to discover how to do everything you need to do.
Because it's a priority for you. It's like, yo, I want to see, you know, Link could have been Black. Legend of Zelda could have been, you know, Legend of Keisha. It could have been anything.
Wow.
You know, but you know, I'm a big hip hop head. You know, but you know, I even look at that. I'm like, you know, who controls what type of hip hop gets out there? You know, the Afrocentric hip hop still exists.
Yes, it does.
Rhapsody is. I say this, and you can fight me on it. Anybody take up the challenge. Rhapsody is the best female MC to ever touch a mic.
I'll take it to a different level right now. I feel like she is top 5 MCs to the day, right now.
Right
now, for 2020, she's top 5.
She's definitely top 5.
Yes.
But I would say, if you look at the history of female MCs and what they represented, she's brought all of that together. I'm not saying that she's had the best singles, because some people make really good singles. They're catchy. Yes. But in terms of being a lyricist, she is the best female lyricist out there. She goes toe-to-toe with Kendrick Lamar on a track, and no one's like, wow, she got blown away. They're like, yo, she went toe-to-toe with him.
Exactly.
And this dude, well, he got a Pulitzer Prize, right, for his lyrics. So it's like, if she's that good, she has to get her due.
Yes.
But in terms of female MCs, it's like I listen to a lot of diverse music, and I try to get my kids to listen to different stuff just so that they can see, okay, well, there are other aspects out there that reflect me. Like, none of my kids are out there selling drugs. So when they listen to music, I was like, is this a fair representation of you? No, it's not. So where's the I go to school hip hop MC? Where's the I take care of my family hip hop MC?
And this is why I kind of love this new era of hip hop, because there's so many different subgenres. So like, your kids go to school, there is an MC talking about that. There's always, in this new generation of hip hop, there's somebody that's going to do it.
Well, I feel like there's, I mean, keep in mind, right? Gangster rap and backpack rap existed side by side and got equal airplay when we controlled what it looked like. The minute we turned it over to corporations, it was like, oh, we're going to pick and choose who gets the rise.
Exactly.
Right. So that's why trap music is as big as it is, but trap artists seem to be interchangeable, right? From one to the next to the next to the next.
Exactly.
To the next. 5 months from now, whoever's hot right now may not even exist.
Exactly.
And their business practices may not even be right.
Because there's no teachings of longevity.
Exactly.
It's just like, okay, let's just get this fast buck, this quick million here and there. But you could, with the proper, tools, learn how to like get that million and then add on 10 million, keep adding on.
And the way, in terms of like how our kids consume that, like the way kids consume media, they look at things and they internalize it and they don't even realize that that's what they're doing. Right. So, and the thing I would say, if you watch 10 TV shows, and every black person you see on it is a criminal or something along those lines, I was like, you subconsciously walk away believing that is a valid way to view black people, especially if you're black, right? Because
that's all you're seeing. That's all you're consuming, and in a sense,
I listen to trap. I listen to gangster music. I watch horror movies. I watch gangster movies. I watch documentaries. I do all of these things. Because I feel like you need to have an ecosystem, or you need to have like a sphere of influence where you can see different aspects of who you are, and be like, okay, well, it's okay for me to feel like thuggish some days. It's okay for me to feel like I'm a brainiac some days.
Yes.
I got a 7-year-old son. He just got glasses, and he's running around talking about, hey, I'm a nerd. I'm like, yes, you are. I was like, Daddy's a nerd too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, but you know what? And he said something about somebody making fun of him. I said, you know what? Don't even stress that. I was like, because what's going to happen? I was like, that kid's going to end up working for you one day.
Exactly, because nerds run the world.
Run the world. I was like, you like math, you like all of this stuff. He got, I like anime, but he got into anime on his own.
Yeah.
It's one of the advantages of going to public school. You never know what a kid comes home is going to come home with and be like, hey, can I watch Dragon Ball? I was like, what do you know about Dragon Ball? I was like, they're talking about it in school. Okay, great. I was like, we can watch that together so I can explain to you. My kids know that, they have to watch a certain amount of things. They have to ingest a certain amount of things that have representation for who they are.
Yes.
So like my daughter, was into Barbie for a while. And I was like, no, you can't watch just Barbie.
Yeah.
She's like, well, why not? She's like, but I like Barbie. I said, well, guess what? I was like, how many black people on Barbie? She's like, well, there's one. I said, so how many black people do you know? I was like, you just know one black person? I was like, we got to find shows. So we went and we found like a whole bunch of shows. I put it in their queue. And I'm like, you can watch whatever you want to watch.
Yeah.
But when I say, okay, what's enough of this, switch it up. They have to do it because I want them to understand that who they are has value. That's really what it boils down to. You know what I'm saying? It's not, like I'm better than so-and-so or we're better than you or blah, 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 But, if I don't see us getting represented, I don't care. Jordan Peele said he didn't want to tell stories about white protagonists anymore because Hollywood has done that to death, and he's only interested in telling stories of people of color because we don't see enough of it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, great. I'm like, so no matter what he puts out, I'm gonna rock out with it because that's how I feel. I feel like we need to have representation, and that's why I built ParaDym because you know, honestly, you know, like all from you know. My parents will tell you that I watch a lot of TV, but you know, growing up for me, we had like all these things in syndication. So I saw, you know, the Jeffersons were always on.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, Cosby Show, but you know,
that's a whole different story.
But a different world was on.
Yes.
You know, I still have nothing but love for Felicia Rashad. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know, there are so many shows. You know, Moesha. You know, the funny thing is that now that it's become popular, all of these things are resurfacing back on like Netflix and Hulu. And
there's demand for it.
Yeah, especially. But obviously, they had the rights for it, or they had the opportunity to purchase those things earlier.
Yes.
Right. But I love what HBO has been doing for years. Right, making sure that people who have diverse people have had access to representation. You know, for a while now. So it's like, you know, that's what I try to inspire in our kids. Like, you know, make content that's representative of you.
Yes.
Because if there's one of you that's going through something, there's a million other people who are
going
waiting to
through
hear that story
exactly.
that aren't hearing it. Especially, you know, our kids make music. And we have kids come in, you know, they want to talk about, you know, whipping cars and, you know what I'm saying, and like, you know, street sweepers and, you know, so I'm like y'all ain't shot nothing, y'all ain't never been shot at, y'all don't got a car, y'all ain't pulling girls like that.
It's more of the story.
Yeah.
It's a story,
so
yes.
I like, tell a story only you can tell.
Yes.
And I had a kid in Hartford, didn't use a curse in his rhymes because he wanted his grandmother to be able to hear his stuff. But all of his things were about things he was going through.
Yes.
And I felt like he was the best. Out of his clique, he didn't have the best lyrics.
Yes.
But he had the best
message.
Not even the message. He had the best songs. Because you couldn't confuse him with anybody.
Yes.
Right? Stylistically, you knew it was him. Content-wise, you knew it was him.
Yeah.
You always wanted to hear what he was going to rhyme about next. Because if he had a bad day on a Tuesday, he was writing something on Thursday that he wanted, you know what I'm saying, to have set up. And conversely, if he was having a great day, he wanted to share that.
Exactly.
So he was sharing
his real experience,
right? And so many people I know resonated with it. Young adults, you know, people my age and even older. When I was like, yo, just listen to what he's saying. Yeah. Like, you know, read his lyrics, right? You know, I was teaching in the school at the time, and people were like, yo, like, why are you putting so much attention on this dude? I was like, yo, like, this is what he wrote. Yeah. Read that. Yeah. Okay. He's struggling in English because he doesn't like English. Read what he wrote. He should be getting A's in English. Let's just say he had the potential to be one of the most prolific people to come out of Hartford because of the stories he was telling. Because it didn't sound like anybody else. They were true stories, and they made you want to examine what was going wrong in Hartford. Yes. The things he went through in terms of, you know, like being in, you know, in like a foster care system and not living at home and blah, blah, blah. I was like, these stories, not even that they're heartbreaking, but his stories made you feel like, yo, like, we got to do better. Yes. I was like, but, you know, all of his boys were rapping about, you know, drugs and girls and all this. Because
pretty much it's a trend. It's a trend. It's glamorous. It sounds cool.
You know? And I'm like, and I'm not even knocking that. But I'm saying it's like, yo, both can exist. And that's what ParaDym is really about. Saying, hey, you know what? You can like what you like. Yes. But when you create something authentic that nobody else can create. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, you're a DJ. You know how it is when, you know, you listen to two people battle, right? And it's the same tracks, and you see what they did with it and how they juggled it. And you're like, yo, like, you know what? That's the same content, but what you added to it is why it was impressive, right? Two plates, spinning at the same time, and it's like, okay, what you gonna do with that? It's what you put into it that makes it special. It's like, yo, you can take the same basic elements and you can flip it so many different ways. And that's what I want our youth to really understand, is that, you know, people instill that in me. They force that on me. I'll tell you right now, Karen made me redo an assignment. I graduated in '98, and I remember this. My first class with her, I did a project, I got an A on it. I did a second project that was like music based and stuff.
Yeah.
She was like, it's too similar. You could get an A on this, but I'm gonna send it back and I'm gonna make you redo it.
Wow.
And I was like, so wait a minute, I can get an A and you're making me redo it? And I didn't understand.
Because she wanted you to be better than.
Better, right?
Yes.
She's like, if you can get an A off rip. Now keep in mind, once again, I love music, I love production, I love, I love television production, I love video production.
Mm-hmm.
Once I figured out how to work the equipment, you didn't have to, like, going to class was just, okay, how can I refine this?
Yeah.
But I was gonna learn it on my own. I was gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
And she saw that that's what my drive was, so she was gonna push me and push me and push me and push me, not because she felt like she wanted to basically bust my balls. What she wanted to do, she was like, yo, if you're saying you want to be at this level, I'm not going to let you coast here.
Exactly. Because the thing is, like, you did the same project, essentially the same project, and she was just like, okay, I could give you an A, but literally you can be reaching this, like, past the ceiling, break the ceiling. Go straight to the sky.
Yeah, she was like, look, she's like, you have a story that you want to tell. I want you to tell that story. She's like, you can get an A doing this, or you can start telling the stories you want to tell. And those are lessons I graduated, and it took me a while to understand those lessons. I remember things that happened, and to be honest with you, I didn't appreciate them for what they were, but they came back to me like, it was like a boomerang. Like, it was thrown, and then like years later, I was like, oh, that's why. I was like, that's why I was like, so now it's like it's second nature, right? So it's like, like that's what ParaDym is, and that's my philosophy on, really getting youth to go from being consumers to producers.
Exactly, because the thing is, it's easy to be caught up in the whole consumer mindset, like, hey, I need this, I want that. But the thing is, you're teaching the kids how you can create this. So let's just say the latest Jordan, or for the grown folks, Tom Ford shoe come out. You don't even have to like deal with the lines. When the store is closed, the manager could just let you in, and you're in there comfortably by yourself, and you can pick out whatever you want. Yeah. So that's the difference between, in a sense, living a lifestyle as like the consumer to living a lifestyle as, a value, ownership, being your own boss in a sense. Yeah. And you're teaching them this young, like you're dealing with what, middle schoolers and high schoolers.
And then now we're actually trying to get funding, so we'll go up to age 24. So we'll have 3 separate sections. So like, after high school, a lot of our former students in the last couple of months, 2020 has brought a lot of people back just to make sure we were doing all right. We've been on a lot of former students' minds, and they're like, we've got these stories we want to tell. When can we come in? And I'm like, these are the hours we operate, and when we operate, it's just kids.
Yes.
So what we're thinking about doing is pushing our hours up an hour, and then letting people reserve time from 4:30 to 6:30 to come and work on projects. Right. So this way, even if we have to finagle some things, we can still accommodate those hours. So trying to make some things happen.
Man, let everybody know your social media information, and we definitely got to do a part 2 of this, because there's more that needs to be said.
Yeah, I'm with it. So you can follow us everywhere. ParaDym Academy. That's ParaDym Academy. Website, ParaDymAcademy.org. We're on Facebook, Insta. We're on Twitter. We're not on TikTok just because we don't have a lot of people who are using TikTok. I'm not going to be on TikTok. So when we have our students come in and like, we want to do a TikTok. Anytime someone's like, yo, we want to do something, we incorporate it.
Yes.
But we will have students will be doing podcasts pretty soon. Nice. We do have a program, web series. We did 2 episodes pre-COVID. We're finishing up the 3rd episode. It's called Young, Gifted, and Facts, which frequently asked questions. So we'll be picking that up again. And like I said, ParaDymAcademy.org. All the information you need is right there.
Yeah, thank you again, Duane. We're going to do this. We're going to do a part 2. Okay. Literally, like I say, some point in time in early 2021. So before the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl, we'll get that part 2 done. And people, follow him. If you're a parent listening or watching this right now via YouTube or SoundCloud, if your kid is looking for something else to do and just working on production or whatnot, definitely encourage them to do it. And Duane is the right person to talk to. ParaDym Academy. All the information is going to be there. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Peace and blessings, people.